Lawmakers should look into creating a system where convicted murderers compensate the families of their victims. This much coming from opposition leader Michael Pintard on the heels of Phone Bahamas President Candy Gibson revealing that 75% of murder victims last year were breadwinners in their home.
Families should also take civil action against the estate of the perpetrators. And if they have any assets, to see how they may garnish those assets to take care particularly of dependent children.
Now, Pintard's referring to the prison inmate work program where a percentage of their salaries would go to the victims' families. But oftentimes, these violent crimes take place in the inner city communities where families sometimes live below the poverty line. Asked how would these families be able to afford the legal action aspect, he says this.
One, we can use the system that is already in place where there are attorneys who work as public defenders, persons who can in fact represent such families. There are also a number of attorneys who engage in pro bono work, who are prepared to help vulnerable families. And again, it's important that the NGOs that are working with these families connect with those lawyers so that they can become a part of us creating a proper lifestyle for children who have been left father or motherless because of no fault of their own.
Attorney Bjorn Ferguson also chimes in on Pintard's suggestion.
The consideration seems fair. It seems to be a just consideration. But at the end of the day, as it relates to sentence, that's the jurisdiction of the courts, the judiciary.
Another local attorney, Kevon Maynard, says that while he can agree with the suggestion, prisoners don't make enough to sustain themselves, let alone the families of their victims. He does, however, suggest this.
It's an economic issue. How do we generate funds? How do we generate monies from persons who are actually incarcerated? How do we use those persons who are incarcerated to generate funds? We could look at implementing agricultural programs whereby the government could actually sell, if we adopt the program, and I don't want to use Cuba, but if we adopt those programs whereby the government would be able to use those inmates to basically, whether it be farming, agriculture, and I don't want to use it or highlight it to make it seem as though we're going back to the slavery era, but we just have to find creative ways to use those persons who are incarcerated to turn the prison into much more so of a profit-generating mechanism.
Last year saw some 128 homicides take place. 75% of that figure is 96, which means that nearly 100 families across the country were left to fend for themselves after losing their breadwinner. Phone Bahamas President Candy Gibson has gone on record in the past to say that while she does all she can to assist families in that position, there's only so much one organization can do. Leah Cooper, Eyewitness News.